One-on-one, I think the best team-up would be John Talbane and Wolverine. That would be awesome to see. Second question. You find yourself at the X-Mansion, and Rogue is flirting with you and giving you the bedroom eyes. Would you resist temptation or try to sleep with her and wind up in a coma for the rest of your life? I don't know. Does a condom work with her? I don't know. We'll have to explore that. Third question. Fuck, marry, kill, Storm, Mystique, or Jean Grey? Marry Jean. I don't want to kill Storm, so... But I don't know, like... With Mystique, it's like variety. Okay, marry Jean, bang Mystique, kill Storm, as much as I hate to say it, so there you go. Thank you for those questions, Wolfman the Impaler. Moving on now to Lydia. Hi, Lydia. And Lydia asks, what is your favorite X-Men storyline from the comic books? You said yours was the Phoenix Saga. I, too, enjoyed the Phoenix Saga. Mutant Massacre, Days of Future Past. Trying to think of another one. I kind of like Deadly Genesis. It's alright. A lot of the stories from Wolverine and the X-Men. A few of those. And, yeah, those just to name a few. So, your next question is, if Dipper and Mabel Pines turned out to be mutants, what kind of powers do you think they should have? It's kind of funny because, for those who don't know, and I've talked about this before, I do work on a Marvel fanfiction site called Marvel 2K14, and yeah, in this Marvel universe, it's a different continuity of where X-Men Schism and Fear itself took place. It's a different continuity from then on. And from there, we had certain non-Marvel characters show up. I picked Dipper and Mabel to be part of this universe, and in this continuity, in this version, Dipper and Mabel are actually the direct descendants of Mr. Sinister. They're the direct descendants of Mr. Sinister, and not that they're evil, they're trying to compel themselves from doing evil. However, Dipper is quote-unquote killed in a fight against a mind-controlled Wendy, who now goes by the identity of Baroness Zemo, and Mabel goes completely out of her mind, and kind of goes through a grunge phase of sorts by taking on the identity of Kid Sinister, and is now going to join a new X-Force team I'm putting together once because the site's under construction. It's going through like a... Chris, the Mount Vernon kid, he's in charge of the site, and he has to rebuild the site from the ground up. So when that comes back, I'm doing an X-Force team, and she's on it. And yeah, she has kind of all the abilities Mr. Sinister has. Telepathy, telekinesis, energy blasts, regeneration, all that kind of stuff. Whereas Dipper, he's not really dead. He's actually going to come back as a certain X-Men villain, as a new version of a classic X-Men villain. I'll just go ahead and say he's going to come back as Nemesis. Yeah, he's going to come back as Nemesis, as a new version of Nemesis. So yeah, there you go. Third question: Do you think Bryan Singer could have done the Dark Phoenix Saga storyline if he hadn't gone to left Superman Returns? You said, we could have gotten Sigourney Weaver's Emma Frost and the Hellfire Club on screen. And that would have been cool. I think we could have gotten a proper Dark Phoenix story had he not left, and we got thrown with this BS that is X-Men 3, but I would have liked to have seen it, and Sigourney Weaver as the White Queen. That would have been interesting. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Lydia. Moving on now to Cody Bradish, who asks, Hugh Jackman said recently he thinks Tom Hardy would make a good next Wolverine. What are your thoughts, and do you agree? I think Tom Hardy's a good pick. He's small, he's short, he's scrappy, and he's got a very muscular build. There's even scenes in like The Dark Knight or Mad Max where you can see where Hugh Jackman said, "Yeah, let him be Wolverine." But I think he would be a good pick. But he's a very popular actor, and I think it would be an interesting route to go with a completely new actor. But honestly, yeah, I think Tom Hardy would be a cool Wolverine. Either him or a new guy, because that's how Hugh Jackman got popular. He was just this he was this Australian Broadway Australian theater guy, and then he got big with Wolverine and moved from then on. But yeah, I think Tom Hardy would be a good pick. Alright. Second question. Which of these characters do you like better? Rogue, Jubilee, or Kitty Pryde? Who do I like better? I think, honestly, my favorite's Jubilee because I grew up with that character from the 90s cartoon and and most of the comics. So I think I'd have to go with Jubilee. Who would win in a fight, Apocalypse or Thanos? I'm going to give it to Thanos because as powerful as Apocalypse is, Thanos, even without the Infinity Gauntlets, could hold his own against the likes of Thor and the Hulk. So, gotta give it to him. So, thank you for those questions. Moving on now to Christian Sager, who asks, Apocalypse versus Kid Buu. I'm going to go with Kid Buu on that one. Sorry. Oh, man. Two out of... 2 rounds out, Apocalypse. Sorry, man. Second question. What do you think of Marvel removing a good chunk of mutants so they can give bigger push to the Inhumans? I don't like it. I really don't, but... There's a part of me who thinks that it's Disney's call, and the other part... But then again, Disney has admitted they don't have a lot of say in what Marvel does in terms of comics. They can only make a few suggestions, even though despite they own them, Marvel still makes a lot of the play calls, honestly. So I think it's like a part of me saying that there's, it's Marvel just spiting them at this point, and yeah, it kind of sucks. But on the other hand, at least Fox has kind of got their head out of their asses in terms of X-Men and are learning to do stuff with them. And, of course, we're not officially gone. All the X-Men are not officially gone. We've got X-23 as the new Wolverine. We've got Old Man Logan. There's a lot of good... I think there's some good in there, honestly. And your third question is, do you think fear of mutants is justified? Like I said before, it all depends on how the person uses that power they wield. And yes, it's discrimination, but on other hands, if you look through past history, humans don't do good with fear. They fear the unknown, and their first reaction is, "It's different from us, so it means they can't be trusted. We must sound the drums of war." I just quoted Pocahontas. God damn it! So I don't know if it's justified. But I can understand why. Although, on the other hand, I can't understand why building concentration camps and giant mutant and giant robot machines that could have cost thousands, if not billions of dollars to make, just to hunt down these beings that some of them can actually control metal. Man, who knew? Who knew you could do entire roundtable political discussions on the X-Men? Oh yeah, Stan Lee figured that out, and that's why we're here. Anyway. Thank you for those questions, Christian. Moving on now to Thaddeus Manning, who asks, have you seen the X-Men anime series or the Wolverine anime series? And if so, would you... Yes, I actually own the X-Men anime DVD collection, and I've seen the Wolverine anime collection. I like the X-Men anime. Wolverine anime, not so much. But X-Men anime is pretty good. Okay, second question. Considering that X-Men vs. Street Fighter was by far one of the best X-Men crossover fighting games, who would you have them face off against your own X-Men vs. blank fighting game? It can be anyone. I would pick maybe X-Men vs. Darkstalkers. Yeah. If not them, X-Men vs. Tekken. Or Street Fighter. No, we already did Street Fighter. Or X-Men vs. MK. But that'll never happen. Alright, what X-Men villain do you consider to be underrated? You said Omega Red. I'm going to have to go with, in terms of underrated villains, Cameron Hodge, because that dude was the definition of balls-to-the-wall crazy, as well as a lot of the members of the Trask family. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Thaddeus. Moving on now to Andre Partridge, who asks, who is your favorite X-Men female character? Favorite female X-Men character? I would have to go with... Much as I like Jubilee, it's Kitty Pryde or Storm. Jubilee's up there too, so that would be my top 3. Alright, what is your favorite X-Men movie and cartoon? 90s X-Men, favorite X-Men movie, I'd have to say Days of Future Past and 90s cartoon. And I already answered the story arc thing, so thank you for those questions, Andre. Excuse me. Moving on now to Shadow of Batman, who asks, what is your favorite era of X-Men? Ooh, I like this question. Favorite era of X-Men. What is Favorite era of the X-Men. I'm going to have to say, like, the 80s X-Men, they were a boom. And also some of the stories in the 90s X-Men. Well, granted, some of them were very schlocky, but I thought they were pretty good. There are some good stories there. So, and also the Whedon run. But favorite era, I think the best era for X-Men was the 80s. You know, the height of the Chris Claremont run. Alright. Second question. If a new X-Men show were to come out, what direction would you want it to go? Like animated or live action? Because Fox keeps saying we'll get that. I'd have to say, like, maybe do like a... We've already got the dark, you know, some dark and serious stuff there, but I would like to see a X Factor an X Factor show. To do, well, we've already got enough detective shows. I don't need X Factor to do that again. Maybe do Young X-Men. Yeah, let's do Young X-Men. That'd be good. All right. Third question. If you were to create your own X-Man, who would she be, and what would her powers, some kind of impact your character would have on X-Men lore? Honestly, I suck at character creations. I did create a few mutant characters like Leatherback, who's like a mutant he's like a human who be mutated into a turtle through mutation, and the other guy was called Microscope, who was a detective whose abilities was that he could his eyes were actually so keen they could pick up the smallest difference in an area. Like he could just like look at something and see like, oh, look at that, a blood stain or stuff like that. So nothing world-changing or Mary Sue-ish. So anyway, thank you for those questions, Shadow. Moving on now to Andrew Varney, who asks, the X-Men, Professor Xavier, Cyclops, Wolverine, Jean Grey, Iceman, Beast, Nightcrawler, Storm, and Colossus visit Beach City and encounter Steven and the Gems. How might each side react to the other? Might be fun. I think Wolverine and Amethyst would probably hit it off, and Jean and Pearl would, hit it off as well. And also a sparring match between Garnet and Colossus. Half of Beach City is going to go down. Second question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how awesome would the Doctor Who X-Men crossover be? I think it would be awesome. Out of 10, it's a 12. Even I felt that one. Alright, third question. Wolverine ends up in the following universes: MLP, Five Nights at Freddy's, Stormhawks, Mortal Kombat, DBZ, Nightmare Before Christmas, Game of Thrones, Danville, and Angel Grove. What are his reactions? I need a beer and about 5 cigars. Better make it 10 beers. So there go those questions, Andrew Varney. Moving on now to Omnitron12345, who asks, Do you think Marvel is going for a Superman metaphor with Genesis, Apocalypse good clone since raised in a virtual version of Kansas, complete with his own Ma and Pa Kent, since he's going to be one of the most powerful mutants on the planet? I think that's what they're trying to do. They did that with Sentry, and that didn't go so well, did it? All right, second question. Back before Black Panther took over Hell's Kitchen for Daredevil a while back, Gambit was teased as one of the possible Man Without Fear. So your question is, if Gambit did go full vigilante, how would you write that? Well, we're kind of getting that already with Charles Schulz's Daredevil run, which is actually going to have Gambit as his partner. So that ought to be fun. But how I would have written it, kind of like give it a Sin City vibe is the best way I could say. Alright. Which mutant origin do you prefer? Natural occurrence due to celestial experiments, or the ultimate version where it's due to a knockoff and unstable super soldier serum being accidentally released into the water? Oh, so like the Inhumans in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'd have to go with natural occurring. That's just me, though. Same with those questions. Omnitron. Moving on now to Nick Lenz, who asks, in your view, what is the worst X-Men crossover ever told? There's not a lot of X-Men crossovers, but if I was to pick a bad one, the X-Force and the Youngblood crossover, it's just boring. Just boring. So yeah. Second, what is your X-Men dream lineup? I kind of already answered that with the 5-man team, but add Jubilee or Kitty Pryde on the team as well. Third, what is your view on X-23 being the new Wolverine and her series, the all-new Wolverine being